Everyone, welcome to Thursday Talks, I guess. I'm not quite sure what I want to call this thing. We are postponed it on Tuesday, and today we're resuming our Tuesday Talks today. And on Tuesday, we, in honor of the Blackout Tuesday, we went ahead and canceled that. So let me see if I can get my PowerPoint up here real fast. Not sure where it went, but hang on, guys. Hang on a second. What just happened? Had everything ready to go, and we weren't ready. All right, so here we go. Never a dull moment. What is going on here? I don't know about you guys, but I felt like today Zoom had a lot of issues. We found it. Couldn't find my PowerPoint, everyone. My apologies. So first, I want to just begin by extending prayers to the family of the George Floyd family, to the family of George Floyd or George Floyd family. Just want to express our condolences to them and to everyone else right now who is suffering and hurting from what is going on in the world today. It's such a tragic thing that many of us, in fact, probably everyone, has witnessed this senseless killing of George Floyd. And, you know, as I sit there and I think about, you know, as I watched it, I to be honest with you guys, I had no idea what was going on in the world. I was actually just glued to my computer on the phone, or not on the phone, on the webinars, and just doing my thing. And I didn't even know until my children came and started telling me, oh my God, Dad, you got to see this. And, you know, a lot of times we don't really, and it's interesting because I had this conversation with many of you guys last week that joined me on our webinar. And I think, where was it? I don't remember where I was, but I had, one of my topics was about listening, you know, listening, to be a good listener. That was the subject matter of what I was teaching, and how to become a better listener. And, you know, unless you have personally experienced, you know, any kind of discrimination or racism or anything like that, you don't really know what someone's going through. And so I know I've experienced it since I was a kid in 5th grade, when I was like the only Asian kid in the entire school, you know, and you know, I had these, you know, it's like children, you know, they're like so cruel in school, right? I mean, especially at such a young age, at such, you know, you would look at the innocence of the adolescents, and you would think that they wouldn't be that cruel, but they're cruel. I mean, I remember, and I still remember vividly, you know, children walking up to me and saying, hey, can you see me? And I would literally look at them and I'm like, what, is this guy stupid or what, right? Like, what do you mean, can I see you? Yeah, you're sitting and you're standing in front of me and you're asking me if I can see you. And I didn't really understand why they were saying that. I couldn't comprehend it. I couldn't process it. I was wondering if they thought I was blind, though I wasn't wearing glasses or had a white cane or anything. I don't understand why they were asking me that. But then, you know, later on, as I was getting a little older, I started to realize, you know, what they were saying. And even recently, you know, with COVID-19, you know, the Wuhan virus, they were saying it, and whatever. And so, you know, it came from China. So everyone who's Asian was put in this category that we're all part of the Wuhan, you know, conspiracy or virus. And, you know, scary is, you know, I'm sending my boys to Costco to pick up groceries or stuff, you know, to go down and get some milk at the store or whatever. I was kind of like, you know, I almost didn't even want my kids to go by themselves because I was terrified. So I would go with them, or, you know, and we couldn't even send one kid at a time because I didn't want one of my kids to get jumped, right? Because of racial profiling or what have you. And so, I mean, I totally get it. And unless you, and some people, I've seen some stuff on Facebook over the last few days, and they don't get it because they haven't personally experienced it. But it's not just racial discrimination, right? I mean, there's all sorts of kinds of discrimination. There's sex discrimination, religious discrimination. I mean, you see a man with a Middle Eastern looking person with a long beard, you automatically, because we stereotype, right? We go, oh, he's got to be a terrorist, right? Or if they're Mexican, right? Or but maybe they're not even Mexican. Maybe they're from South America or El Salvadorian, and you know, but they've got a darker complexion, and you're like, oh, look at, he's probably a gardener, a painter. Or if you look at a Korean person, right, you think that they have a dry cleaner, liquor store. And so it's interesting that I hope and I wish the whole world will understand that it's time that we collectively end racism, discrimination, racial profiling, stereotyping, all that kind of stuff, right? So I just wanted to put my 2 cents out there, and I'm praying for all of you. I'm praying for all the families that are going on right now, that are out, businesses that are out now just when they're about to reopen, and they're trying to reopen and now they can't, and the destruction of all the looting, which I don't understand that either. Now, the good news about all this is I think that the majority of the people are good people, right? But we always have a bad apple in every business, every industry. And so, you know, I hope that we don't say that all cops are bad, because you can't, I would disagree with that, because I don't think that you can say all cops are bad. You know, all what, this people or that people or whatever. It's just, you get that in every world, right? So let's just be careful how we put things in words as we put stuff on the internet and Facebook, because it's not everyone, and it's not everyone protesting, it's not everyone looting, but we always have a few bad apples. And even looting, I still can't process that, because to run into a store and pick up, I don't know, you know, 10 boxes of shoes or clothes, and the probability is that whatever you picked up, it probably doesn't even fit you. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do with it. Are they going to sell it? I mean, is that what the intention was? But anyway, but I do hope that, you know, and I like what's here. I hear, you know, I've been glued to the Zoom thing here today. And I know my children have been updating me and saying, hey, at least there's protesting and it's peaceful. And I love hearing that, so that no one else is getting hurt. No stores or properties are getting destroyed and damaged, and things like that. So I respect this whole peaceful protesting, and I hope that we end racism soon. So anyway, back to the George Floyd family. Our prayers go out to you, and we hope that we have a speedy recovery for everyone. And those of you that are here watching me today, listen, I have no explanation for what's happening around the world. Only God knows, you know, that with the world we're facing with pandemics and outbreaks and viruses and things like that. So we are hearing your pain, and if you're having a hard time, you know, dealing with that, you know, please feel free to reach out to me in my office, and we'd love to chat with you and provide some comfort to everybody right now. So hopefully we come to a point where we can have a speedy recovery, and we realize that racism needs to end soon. So anyway, God bless everyone. I'm going to move on here from that. I don't really know how to transition from that, but I mean, hey, let's move on, okay? So one of the things I want to do to help everybody out is you know, this book called Think and Grow Rich, which was written during the Great Depression. You know, this man, Scott Servine, and I and a few others had the opportunity to make this movie based on the original book that was written during the Great Depression, that we could provide a way where people may say, oh, I don't have time to read a book right now. Well, we want to bring this book, to your home, whether you're watching it on the TV or on your computer screen. We want you to know that tomorrow we're going to do a special screening of the movie Think and Grow Rich. So hopefully there's a message out of this movie that you can share with everyone else. Now, again, I would hope that you would take a picture of this screen right here and share it on your Instagram, on your Facebook, wherever you can, so we can get a bunch of people to watch this movie. And hopefully there's something in that movie that we can provide a message, a tool, I don't know, something that can bring to help heal, you know, and I think that's what we need moving forward is everybody having something to move forward and have some tools to heal from this awful senseless killing that we all witnessed. So having said all that, there you go. Tomorrow night, 6:30, and then right after the movie, we've got Scott Servine and myself. We're going to get on here and do some Q&A for everybody. Okay? Now, also on Saturday, every Saturdays at 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so day after tomorrow, we are going to do a session at 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then again, next week on Thursday, we've got Chris Katradrian with Crump, and we're excited to do some training on indexed annuities with you on this stack and time. So make sure you go down again here. Please register here. I'm not sure why the little blinking thing isn't happening here, but please register here and register down here where you see the big highlight. I don't know if we can make this any more clear that you do have to register for these events, okay? So again, for those of you that are joining us for the very, very, very first time, have no idea why you're here. Someone just said, hey, tune into this webinar. There's this guy named John. He'll be doing a bunch of stuff. Hey, listen, I want to sincerely thank you for joining us. I know you've got a lot. You've got to prep dinner and things, but I really believe that today, and in this particular episode, we're going to bring you amazing content, really amazing content. And one of the things I'm going to be talking to you about today is whether or not you should be investing and buying properties, or should you be investing in mutual funds? Like, which one is better? And I'm going to put in my opinion on the two things. And, you know, everybody's got an opinion, right? So I'll give you my opinion, my 30 years of experience in the financial industry. And I get a lot, and I have a lot of experience, but it all started back for me in 1995 when I read this book. And after reading this book called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, which is an absolute timeless classic, where he went and interviewed some of the greatest minds, the greatest industrial giants of all time. And after 25 years of interviewing some of the biggest names that you know, he discovered there are 13 principles that are still relevant today, that if you can embrace these principles and apply them and put them into action, that you have an extremely high probability of becoming very successful in all areas of your life. So I want you to know that there's a new version of this here on Amazon that you can get. This is the unedited version of Think and Grow Rich. And then as I said earlier, did a movie on this as the executive producer, and this is now going viral around the world. And as I said to you earlier, we are doing a complimentary viewing screening of this this coming Friday at 6:30 p.m. Now, so from there, a book called Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice was written, and I highly recommend that you read this so you understand how the Black community thinks, what they've experienced during their lifetime, because until you read something like this, you don't really know. There is a Latino version of this, there is a women's version of this, and there is an Asian version of this, and I am the author of this. And I want you to know you really need to read all of them to really understand, because you don't understand until you read it and embrace it and have some conversations with people about it, right? Like, it's like watching a movie and then you come out of the movie, you're like, oh my God, I didn't get it. And then all of a sudden, you know, you go off to a restaurant and start having a discussion and you start talking about it. And all of a sudden people are like, well, didn't you understand this part and this part and this part? That's what this is what the director was trying to portray. And you're like, oh, like all of a sudden the light bulb goes on and you're like, okay, I get it, right? So I understand some of you are like, I don't like the protesting and I don't support it. It's because you don't understand it yet, right? But you know, maybe you've never had discrimination or racism. Maybe, and by the way, earlier when I was talking racism, I'm going back to that again, is there's age discrimination. There's sex discrimination, religious discrimination. Gosh, the list goes on, right? We all know, and we have to realize, will we ever end discrimination? I don't know. But I think that if we start to read these books and understand it, and that's why I just want to empower all of you to get these books, right? And my book, by the way, you know, I actually, in my book, I don't have just Asians, right? I mean, come on, Elon Musk, Jamie Villalobos, Kevin Harrington. I mean, you know, there's a lot of variety of people in my book, because it doesn't, see, one thing I write in the first chapter of my book is I said, it doesn't matter what your color is, what your race, your religion, your sexual preference, or whatever, because in my opinion, that, and I strongly believe this, is that success doesn't discriminate, right? So if it doesn't discriminate, hey, if you just embrace these principles in this book, then you will be successful, right? And not only, as I said, to embrace it, but you got to apply the principles. So in my book, after every single chapter, there is a step-by-step process on making a decision, right? Which is one of the things, is that you got to make a decision. Some people are always on the fence, right? Some people are influenced by other people, right? So you have to learn how to make a decision on your own, and that's in my book. So I want you to know that I've got a blockbuster announcement right now. I spoke with the publisher, spoke with the Napoleon Hill Foundation, Don Green, a couple days ago, actually. And you know, my book right now is $27.95. Whoops, what happened there? I don't know why that comes up so quickly. It's $27.95. So it's not $27.95 anymore, okay? They reduced the price to $24.95, but it's not $24.95 either. They reduced the price to $19.99. It's not $19.99. You would think it's $14.95, but it's not $14.95. You would think it's $9.95. It's not $9.95. And then you would think it's $4.95, but it's not $4.95. Right now, it is on sale for 30 days for the month of June. Blockbuster announcement, even though I just got the approval literally this morning. I asked the Napoleon Hill Foundation and the publisher, which is a company called Sound Wisdom, and they 150% agree that we should lower the price for 30 days so we can get this information into your hands. And right now it is on sale for a whopping $2.99, guys, right? $2.99. And I'm not making this up. This is the official on Amazon right now. Now it is Kindle, so you can't get $2.99 on a book. I mean, I think their hard cost is more than that. But on Kindle, you can download this and go through. If you don't want to read all the content, at least go to every chapter and look at the page of how to apply the different secrets, right? Or the principles. So it doesn't get any better than that. So $2.99, again, please go and read this, okay? You really do. And then, of course, you know, people have been asking about our tour. We started last year. We're going to 12 countries and 34 states, and that's 34, not 33. And, you know, we've postponed this, and just if you can, you know, people ask, we postponed this indefinitely until next year. So that's kind of where we're at. In fact, I spoke with Ed Milet the other day, and Ed Milet also said to me that he is not doing any paid engagements or any kind of speaking events for the next 6 months. So he's also postponing things just so that we can kind of embrace what's going on around the world and kind of adapt to all the different changes. But I'll tell you what, in the short period that I've been out there doing a lot of public speaking, I've had an opportunity to share the stage with people like Condoleezza Rice, Barbara Corcoran, Martin Sheen, Rob Dyrdek, Stedman Graham. By the way, that's Stedman there in my home, and my son is photo bombing in the background. Steve Aoki right here, Mario Lopez. And by the way, Mario also has a podcast show that I would love to have you guys all go and just listen to his podcast show at Listen to Mario. It's fun that we, Mario and I, can now share the stage and travel and and host some events, but of course that's come to a screeching halt as well. And then of course last year, September 14th, both my wife and I, we were knighted by the Royal Order of Constantine the Great in St. Helen. And one of the things that people ask is how this all happened to us, right? Like, how did this happen? And I want you guys to know that this all happened because we prayed about it, right? We prayed, and it's amazing what happens when you pray. You know, we've prayed for healing, we've prayed for peace, we've prayed for a lot of different things lately. And one of the things I think about is how God works in mysterious ways. And, you know, God sends you things, and he sends your requests in different packages. So whatever you've been praying for, thinking about, you know, whatever you expect from the universe, I just want you to know that, you know, things get delivered to you, and things that in a package that you didn't expect. And I think that maybe today, you being on this webinar with us and with me, that, you know, there's something here today that we can answer for you, and I hope we do. That we can provide some value and some content to give you some direction and to give you some counsel. And one thing I want you to know is wherever you're at, whatever you're thinking, is to ask without fear, right? You know, I think too often that if you think that if you ask people for help, that, you know, maybe you're dumb or you're incompetent or whatever, but I don't want you to feel that way. I want you to feel like we're all here to help you and guide you and support you, okay? So ask without fear, and understand that, you know, you being on here right now, I believe, is the right time. Timing is everything. In fact, in business, as we started our business back in 1991, that's when my wife started the company, she did a little timeline for me that really made so much sense. It was very logical for me. I'm a very logical kind of guy. So as I looked at this, it kind of made all the sense that, you know, in the 1940s, the businesses that were doing very well were all business related. There was no coincidence that companies like Gerber Food and Johnson & Johnson were doing so well. And then as the babies got a little older, you know, we saw another industry, the toy industry, from Mattel to Hasbro. And then the fast food revolution came along, and McDonald's came and started that. And then you got the car industry, Lee Iacocca bailing out Chrysler Corporation in a time of crisis. And then you had technology, you've got real estate, and then here we are, we're here in the year 2020, where the first baby boomer now just turned 74 years of age. And now these so-called baby boomers, as they're retiring, they're starting to realize, man, do I have enough money to retire? Or am I gonna have to work during my golden years to survive? I mean, just to survive and pay their bills and put food on the table. So this idea of retiring is very, very important, but most people are not prepared financially to retire. And I believe that this is happening in our country today because financial literacy is a necessity, in my opinion, yet it's not being taught in our educational system. In fact, in 2012, 37 states required sex education. The 4 highlighted states were the 4 states that required financial literacy courses. Now, to see the progress of, you know, our nation embracing financial literacy in our school system in 2015 was just 1 state. It was the 1 state below Tennessee, right? So there's Tennessee, look at it, and there you go. 3 years later, we added 1 state, Alabama. And now, to give you an idea, now the good news is we are making progress. The bad news is it's slow. We're in the year 2020 now, and we added 2 states, which is Iowa and North Carolina. So now we've got basically 7 states that are requiring mandatory financial literacy classes. And this is not healthy. We've got to start teaching people how money works and to understand the basic financial principles. And what I want to do is, if you're joining us today for the first time, to take your camera or write this down and understand that the 6 pillars to financial security is this. Number 1 is you gotta increase your cash flow, right? Cash flow, increase your cash flow. Number 2 is to manage your debt. Number 3 is to have an emergency fund. Number 4 is to have proper protection. Number 5 is to create a long-term savings account. And number 6 is to preserve your assets and preserve your estate and protect it from litigation and lawsuits and everything else. So every Thursdays at 2 o'clock, 2 to 3 o'clock, I take an hour and spend some time on each one of these 6 things right here. So those are the things that I'm going to be doing on, let's see, every Thursday, as I said it earlier. And then you'll learn all these different things. You know, how do you do it? Like, how do you manage your debt? You know, where do you go and how do you increase your cash flow and things like that? We're going to get into very specifics, and we're going to do that probably for the rest of the year, where we're going to be doing these classes absolutely free, where you just dial in and listen, okay? Now, let me ask you a question. When you're sick, where do you go, right? I mean, it's a rhetorical question, right? You go to a hospital, right? You go to a hospital, you go to an emergency room or whatever, and when you go to a hospital, let's say you go to Kaiser, you know, as an example, you have a primary care physician, and your primary care physician will help you as much as they can. And then they give you a prescription or tell you the things that you should do. And then if you need a specialist, they tell you to go see all these doctors that are specialists, right? Where they're all these ologists. Have you ever noticed that they're all like ologists, except for a pediatrician, right? You got a radiologist, oncologist, neurologist, cardiologist, dermatologist, pulmonologist, ophthalmologist. I mean, it's like you got all these ophthalmologists, right? And then pediatrician gets in there. So it's interesting. But we took this idea, this analogy, and did something very similar to it, where we created a financial hospital. And let me just kind of fast forward through all this real quickly, just to save some time, because I got some other things that I want to get to. But we basically created a one-stop operation where we do everything from loans to merchant processing, and we've got property and casualty, insurance, auto insurance, and health insurance, and all these different things. And one of the things I want you guys to know is that if you've got auto insurance, I think it's important for whoever your carrier is that you give them a call. And if you actually reach out to them, many auto insurance companies automatically just gave you a credit of $50 or 10% or 20% discount. But some insurance companies are requiring that you actually called in and requested the discount. So, excuse me, so as you have your property and casualty during a time of quarantine, that you were able to get a discount on your rates. And so things like that, those are the kind of things that we're able to share with you so we can help you save money and manage your expenses. Again, annuities, college planning, retirement, investment advisory services, business and tax planning, estate planning, debt plan, settlement, not planning, but debt, getting you out of debt essentially. We have it all. We're like the one-stop shop, right? And I love this industry because I believe that everything that we do is a need versus a luxury. And I've invested in a lot of different types of businesses. And I'll tell you what, at the end of the day, when I look at all the different businesses that we own and invested into, whether it's farming or movies or wig business or gadgets or solar panels or whatever, to me, the financial service industry is probably the best one. And as I said, right now, as we're still quarantined at home and not everyone is going back to opening up their businesses yet or going back into their workplace. You know, one of the best slides I've seen, it says that if you don't come out of this quarantine with a new skill, knowledge, or a side hustle or business, it wasn't that you lacked time, but you lacked discipline. And so, you know, if you go to YouTube and type in on my YouTube channel, I actually did an episode a couple weeks ago on how do you develop discipline, or how do you get more discipline, or how do you apply discipline into your own life, right? But at the end of the day, I want you to all know that you all need some more income, and I don't think that you should be exchanging more of your time, are you with me, for money. You know, exchanging time for money, hourly wage, you know, is not the way to become financially independent. The way you do it is to have passive and residual income, okay? And a lot of people talk about it, and they say, oh, you gotta have passive income and you gotta have residual income, but they don't have any, right? Like I've got lots of passive income, right? I've got lots of residual income. And so the difference really at the end of the day is income. Passive income is income that you make without doing any work, right? So you've got investments, stocks, rental properties, annuities, high yield savings accounts. That's passive. Residual income is income that you receive after a sale and you continue long afterwards to still receive income. So whether it's being an author, a movie, a songwriter, a singer, or in financial services, and I go back to financial services, I love residual income. Like, I love it, right? And so the way you can earn massive amounts of passive and residual income, number one, is go get a license, right? There's a lot of products that we have that like credit card processing, which is great, but doesn't require a license, right? You can go into branding and doing things like this, doesn't require a license. But, and by the way, all these things I'm sharing with you, we offer. Home security, believe it or not, has residual income, right? But the reason why I want you to get into financial services is because, in my opinion, there's one, residual income and getting assets under management, broker agent relationships, and the fact that you can sell your business for 3 to 6 times the multiples. You can get educated about it for yourself. You can teach other people about how money works. You can help families and have fun. And but if you were to go get licensed, right, whether you go get a license to do loans, or if you go get a license to sell life products, or whether you want to go and get a license to do retirement accounts or other financial products and annuities, you know, there's a lot of things that you can do to make a lot of money. And I wanted to bring up an individual here, Madi, who last week, one of his senior mentors, a guy named Cash Restan, was telling us how, you know, during a time of crisis, that Madi was out there and he's doing not 5 or 10 appointments or 15 or 20, but Madi is crushing it right now, and said he was doing like 70 to 80 appointments a month. So I was just like, what? Like, that's crazy. And so I wanted to let you guys know that you have to start, you know, creating activity, right, during a time of crisis. Okay, don't glue yourself to the news, because that's not going to help you. I want you to start to be very active and being, you know, a person that can create activity. So we want to pick Madi's brain here. And Madi, we appreciate you joining us tonight. And we're ready to, and we're open to hear what you are doing right now during a time of crisis, and what you're doing to create activity. So take it away, Madi, for about 10 minutes.
Hi, John. Thank you. Thank you so much. Actually, I'm really appreciated to give me this opportunity and talk to people. I came here. I came to United States like 5 years ago, 2015, and in my back home, I'm originally from Iran. In my back home, I was an insurance broker, and I came here. I came to Turkey, and after 2 years, as a refugee, I came to United States. You know, every people when they're coming here, they're looking for opportunity. They want to change their life. It's happened for me too. I was looking for opportunity. I was looking for business, and I was driving like maybe 15 hours a day with Uber. Just wow. It was hard time. I was looking for opportunity, and when I find my friend who introduced me this business in California. And when I find this business, I'm saying, oh my God, this is this opportunity. I was looking for this for a long time ago. And when I see the support, it was hard for me because for 2 reasons. First, for English, because when I came here, I couldn't speak English, nothing. And it was a big challenge for me. I was thinking, I don't know, I can do it or not. Right now, you can see it. I'm trying to speak better English. I'm trying to learning. And second one, the second challenge for me, I didn't have any warm market. I was new United States. I didn't know anybody in here. And but when I came to class and when I learning, I learned I have to make the prospect. I have to contact the people. And I realized when I started this business, I realized when I do this one more, I can learn more better than English. And after 3 months, from like almost like 8-9 months in this business, and after 2-3 months, I started to find people and talk to people. And I used, like, for education, I use education class to talk in the social media to find people. I invite them to in the Zoom or office and talk to them. In this coronavirus actually is very, very, very good opportunity. It's great opportunity to create your business and find people because they have a lot of time. You can talk to people. And I use this time and this opportunity. I contact to people. I find people into like Instagram, Telegram, Facebook. I invite them. It's cold market, but it was very, very hard to talk to people, to make a trust for them because they didn't know anything about me. But I realized in this business, anybody if wants to be successful, they need a big why, because in this business it's hard, it's not easy.
We lost you, Marty. Uh-oh, your phone, your audio is off. Not sure what happened.
It's good.
Yep, you're better now. You're back on.
Okay, thank you. I was saying, like, people, if anybody wants to successful in this business, they need a big why, because this business is hard. When you talk to people, when they say no, like, if maybe after like a couple times, some people they say it's not my business, but when they have a big why, they can constantly doing. And when like my wife family, they were living in United States. I was in my back home, I was in Iran. When I decided to come in the United States, my father, like I remember the last day, my father, he was crying. He said, I don't want to lose my son. And I was talking to him. I said, I promise to you when I go to United States, I will be the big man. And I will be successful man. And it was the first time I saw he was crying.
Wow.
And yeah, when I came here, like when I do this business right now, when I'm going to hard time, when people they saying me no, when like I'm looking to people and it's hard time for me to find the new people, I'm thinking about that time. I think about that promise I give to my father, and that's why push me to go to front. And I think this big why helped me for me to go the front, and I cannot stop it. Just I want to go ahead.
Yeah, Marty, it's amazing when people, I think this is one of the reasons, like, and again, those of you that are born here, don't take this the wrong way, but I think you're at a little bit of a disadvantage being born and raised in the United States, because growing up, you had it pretty good. Like, I mean, it wasn't like that bad. I mean, it was bad compared to maybe the guy who's living in a, $50 million house in Beverly Hills, of course. Like, but until you actually come from another country, you don't realize like what a great opportunity you have, right? Sometimes exactly. I think that some people also, if you're kind of like too smart for your own good. You know, like some people are like, they're so smart that they got to almost complicate things because they're so smart that if it's something too easy, that they don't want to do something. Does that make sense, everyone? Right? And when you come to a company like us and we have everything turnkey for you, like literally turnkey, you like stick your key in there and turn it, like it all runs. You're like, what? Like, this is like too good to be true. And that's part of our challenge in our company, everyone. And what we do in our industry is the fact that we made it too easy for you already, you know. And if you just like would just plug in, like you would crush it. But I think some people are just too smart and they're wise. Or, you know, Napoleon Hill says in the book Think and Grow Rich that the starting point of all achievement is desire, right? What is that burning desire, you know, whatever it is. And certainly Mahdi, you know, having this conversation with his father and putting him to his tear, you know, making him bring tears to his eyes, to know that when he came to this country, man, he had to do it big time to make sure that he can, you know, show his family the success he's having here today. So so in summary, Mahdi, are you getting most of your leads right now through social media, just going on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram and places like that, generating all your leads?
Yeah, exactly. Like right now, I'm looking just because especially in this coronavirus,
yeah,
but like is the best time if just we approach people in Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram or anywhere, because like this great opportunity on the Zoom. Like right now, I create the team in Florida, Denver, Colorado, like Georgia, California. I'm living in Minnesota, but in like
so you live in Minnesota right now?
Yeah, I living in Minnesota. You
wow.
know, it's like when I start this business, it was very hard because even, you know, I'm working with cash. In like even after like 4 or 5 months, I didn't. The first time after 5 months, like when I went to Versman
Yeah.
In the California, I saw the cash and I was talking to him. It was the first time. The all time I was looking by Zoom.
Oh wow.
Yeah, all business I'm doing by Zoom, like before Corona and right now in this coronavirus. I think is the best time people they can create and they can develop the business to other state by Zoom, because right now you can do everything by Zoom.
Yeah,
even
that's right.
just imagine, even I'm doing with cold market by Zoom.
That's awesome, Mahdi.
Yeah, thank
It's
you.
awesome. Well, folks, Mahdi, I mean, I appreciate you joining us tonight. We're gonna continue with the rest of our presentation tonight, but man, it's like 10:30 for you at your time in Minnesota, and so we appreciate you joining us tonight and sharing your message with us. We appreciate it, and we wish you all the best. And just do it. And to the rest of you guys, what are you guys waiting for? I think maybe we need to send you back to another country for a while and see how life goes, and then have you come back, become an Uber driver for a bit, and that will probably stir it up for you guys just a little bit so that you can really pour your heart into this. So let me just tell you, so one of the things I want you guys to do is, you know, get a license, you know, get your 6 and 63 license, right? So that you can offer some of these other amazing products and services. You know, whether you can do mutual funds or life products, securities products. Let me just tell you, this is the greatest time ever. The Series 65 license, get that license, and you can do all these other products called ETFs and mutual funds and all that. And by the way, next week on Thursday, my training is going to be what is an ETF and how do you compare that to mutual funds, right? So what is the difference between a mutual fund and an ETF? And we'll spend about an hour showing you guys the benefits there, okay? So that'll be next week on Thursday for our, is it Tuesday? Tuesday? Oh, our Tuesday talks, that's right. Oh man, I'm losing my mind. Okay, here we go. So there you have it. So in terms of systems, guys, we got all the systems in place. If you're joining us for the very first time, know that we've got, you know, everything in place. And, You know, the word system is an acronym which says save yourself some time, energy, and money. Okay, so we've got everything down: business format system, financial format system, the licensing format system, personal development system, leadership format system. We got everything, right? So all you got to do is just plug and play. I mean, that's pretty much it. Okay, unless you're too smart for your own good, you're going to start coming in, you're going to dissect everything and think that, you know, that you can do stuff. But hey, I would tell people, until you start making $1 million a year, let's, you know, just plug into the system. Does that make sense? And then once you start making $1 million a month, you know, $2 million, right? Then or a year, even for that matter, then we'll start listening to what you have to say. But plug and play, guys. So let me just tell you, one of the questions I've been getting from a lot of people lately is, you know, should I buy rental property, you know, or should I invest in mutual funds? And so, you know, a lot of people are saying that all these people, because we're in a crisis pandemic, they're not going to be able to go back to their jobs, or jobs aren't going to be around. Should I save up my money or go join an investment group and invest in and buy like big, you know, lots of real estate, you know, create like what they call a syndication? And I don't know. I mean, you can if you want, but let me just give you my 2 cents on this, okay? So let's do this. Let's say you were going to go buy a rental property, okay? Let's just say, hypothetically, you're going to go buy a piece of property and, you know, or you're going to buy your own house or whatever. You know, I'm not a real big fan of buying a house to live in it. But, you know, when you got all the money and you got nothing else to do with the money, you might as well, right? But if you're trying to create wealth, I would probably tell you not to. I would hoard your money. But let's say you got a purchase price of $500,000, 20%, okay, 20% is your down payment. You have a loan amount of $400,000. You finance it for 30 years. And the interest at 3.5%, let me just tell you that your payment on something like this is going to be about $1,796, okay? That's your monthly principal and interest. So then on top of the $1,796, you have your homeowner's insurance, electricity, water, gas, cable, internet, pool, trash, gardener. Add all that up, and now you're paying another, I don't know, $1,000, and you know there's $2,896, right? So you're almost at $3,000 a month. All right. Now I want you to know, just keep that number in mind, okay? So don't write it on a piece of paper, $2,896, okay? Now let's go and take a look at the future value, right? Because how much were we going to put as a down payment? So the down payment, remember this right here? Let me go back. Right here, down payment, it's in red. How much was it? It was $100,000. All right, so let's take that $100,000 and let's go and invest that money instead and see what it would look like, okay? So let me just show you a mutual fund, okay, that right now, this particular mutual fund, I put this PowerPoint together with Anna a few days ago, and what do you call it? The interest rate here was 37%. Now, just so you guys know, sorry guys, you guys couldn't hear me. I was muted. My bad. Okay, so this is a mutual fund. It's a Transamerica Capital Growth Mutual Fund, and the ticker symbol is I is in India, A is in Adam, LAX, okay? That's a ticker symbol, and you'll see Transamerica Capital Growth. Just so you know, year to date, we put this PowerPoint together a few days ago. This number has now changed. It's already up at like 42.5%. So it's already going up. And by the way, this interest rate right here started right here, February 19th, where it started to tank. That's the pandemic. And then it went back up, and then it had a little correction, and it just gone up after that. 37%. Literally, if you look at this today, And if you go online, it's 42.5%. Okay. Now, a lot of you may say, well, that's just, this year or year to date. John, how has this fund done over the last 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10-year track record? Well, what it's done is this. The year to date, as I said, was 3701, even though it's higher now. 1 year is 40%, which is now even higher. It's almost closer to 50% now if you go online. The 3 year is 25, 5 year is at 20, 10 year is at 19.73. The average rate of return is 20% more over the last 10 years, okay? And that's these mutual fund managers putting your money into companies like, these are the top 10 holdings, by the way, of this fund. It has done investing in companies like Amazon, Slack, Shopify, Zoom, Uber, Spotify. These are just the top 10 holdings. There's a lot more in this particular fund. But if you invested this money, just so you know, back in 2006 at $100,000, this account, okay, would be right now $487,000. And just so you know, this number is even higher if you go in there and play with the numbers on Market Watch. Just type in the ticker symbol, IALAX, and then you'll scroll down and see Market Watch. Look for the link that says Market Watch. Click that and you'll see what I'm talking about. So these are not numbers that I'm making up right now. I'm not trying to, make a solicitation, because then I got to send you a prospectus and all. This was training purposes only. But, if you do want to invest in something like this, give me a call or reach out to the person who invited you to learn more about this. But I'll tell you what, in the last 2 weeks, we've been selling a ton of this particular fund. But again, 37.01% is unbelievable. Now, let's just say that our average fund did 12%. So if you had $100,000 as a down payment, invested that money at 12%, that money would grow to 112, right? Over 5 years, that would just a one-time investment of 100,000. It's not like you have to do it every year. One time only. That money 5 years later would be 176. 10 years, it would grow to 310. 15 years would go to 547. 20 years, 25 years. Can you believe that in 30 years, that one time, 100 grand at 12%, even though we're doing more than 12 right now on average, we're at almost $3 million with just that one little thing. Now, do you think that that house that we bought for $500,000 in 30 years could grow to this? I don't know. Let's find out. Now, look at this. What if you invested the monthly mortgage payment? Okay, so remember what the monthly mortgage was, right? The $28.96 plus all the expenses that we had was $28.96. What if you just invested that money at an average of 12%? Again, we're showing you 12 over 30 years. What would that grow to over this period of time? Do you realize that that $28.96 would grow to $10 million, $121,000 plus the $3 million from the down payment? Man, you're almost at $14 million. Do you think that house that you bought for $500,000 will be worth $14 million? Well, I can tell you, even though our mutual funds, I'm showing you illustrations. I know you've talked, you're listening to a lot of these other people that are all about putting all your money into real estate. I 100% unequivocally disagree. Okay, I would never, ever, in my opinion, take my money and invest it into one thing. Okay, I'm all about diversification, right? But if you do, just be careful, because let me just tell you, here's a house, and we just went to Zillow, and though Zillow's not 100% accurate, it's close enough, right? You'll hear realtors always say, oh, it's not 100%. It's pretty darn close, okay? So Valencia, California, we took a house, right? This house was purchased in 2000, not that I bought it, right? It's 2000, and it sold for $126,000, okay? Today, right now, 20 years later, 20 years later, that property has gone up by 5 times, and that property is now 538,000, which has an average growth of 3.85%. Just so you know, that's the average growth from 126 to 538 is an average growth rate of 3.85. Now this is in Valencia, California. It's a nice area up there. Stevenson Ranch, all that. It's not bad. Okay. We looked at Lake Forest, California, down in Orange County. Got a house, 3-car garage. This house was sold in 1999 for $397,000. Today it's worth $1.2 million. Okay, looks great. Look at people are celebrating. Wow, 21 years later, guess what? This thing grew by an average rate of return of 3.2%. So I mean, like just barely squeaking by inflation. All right. Let me show you another property. This is my house in Calabasas that I owned a few years ago, okay? So as you're looking here in the middle, some of you guys came to my house, you know where I live. This is my house in Calabasas, California. I bought this house for $3.2 million in 2013, sold it after I bought it, and then sold it a few years later. And just recently, in 2018, it sold for $4.6 million. This one right here was literally my house. Some of you guys are like, oh my God, that's John's house right there, okay? Just to kind of, and this is Calabasas, California. This is like the new Beverly Hills, right? This is where like, you know, all the celebrities are now moving up to. And this one right here in just 5 years had an average growth of 5.8%, okay? From 2013 to 2018. And this is like, you know, now where the rich and famous, the celebrities live and all that kind of stuff. We found an article in the Wall Street Journal, and here's what it said. Real estate versus stocks, which has a better, which one has a better return? And look at this down here. Compare this to stock return. Stocks have generally roughly 7% per year over the long run after accounting for inflation. That's including what? Inflation. So it's more like 10% minus 3% inflation. And then it says, in other words, the stock market has generally generated returns at more than 4 times the rate of real estate appreciation. Okay, appreciation. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea. It says here, since 1940, the median home value in the United States has increased at an annualized rate of 5.5% since 1940. Okay, so I just want you guys to understand. This is a lot of different studies that we're showing with you, but I also want you guys to know. In my opinion, the 16 reasons why John Shin, where I would choose to put my money in mutual funds versus putting it into real estate rental properties, okay? So let me tell you what those 16 are right now. Number 1 is this, okay? When you go buy rental properties, okay, you gotta go and find tenants, okay? So as you're finding tenants, you know, do you have to find tenants for rental properties? Yeah. Do you have to do that for mutual funds? No. So I like the idea that I don't have to go and try to find content.
Both of us.
Oh, thanks, Mimi. We heard you. So yeah, you got to get both of you sitting down there. We know it works now in just a minute. And then property management. Let's talk about property management. You got property management with real estate, right? But you don't have property management with mutual funds, all right? Next, then you got to find a tenant where they're going to pay you rent, right? So now you got to deal with eviction, lawsuits, right? Rental properties, you got to with rental properties, you got to evict people if they don't pay you, right? Your rental. You don't have to deal with that. It doesn't even apply with mutual funds, right? It's a peace of mind. I don't have to go to bed every night wondering, you know, when it comes to the end of the month, is my tenant going to pay me, or do I have to figure out where I'm going to come up with that money to make that payment so I don't lose my house and go into foreclosure, right? Others, what if you have a tenant who becomes disgruntled, right? Now you have a disgruntled tenant who's going to destroy your property. Anybody ever had one of those tenants? Oh, that's a lot of fun, where they literally like rip out your toilets and destroy your kitchen where you just remodeled it. So you have those issues with rental properties. You don't have those issues with mutual funds. What else? How about paying rent during a pandemic? Do you realize how many landlords right now are freaking out because their tenants aren't paying them rent? Why? Because the government basically said, hey, no one will get evicted during a time of pandemics and outbreaks. Like the courts, LA County, Ventura County, Orange County, the court is not taking any eviction notices right now. You can't kick anybody out. And people are like, oh, sounds good to me. So they're intentionally not paying any rent. And now the landlords that own these properties have to figure out how to what? Pay their own mortgage on their properties. So with rent, are people paying rent during a pandemic with these rental properties? No. Does this issue become a problem with mutual funds? Doesn't even apply. I mean, how cool is that, right? What else? ADA requirements, right? American Disabilities Act. Man, you own rental properties, there's all sorts of ADA lawsuits, right? And if you don't abide by those rules, you're gonna get sued. And the lawsuits are not like inexpensive. I mean, they sue you for a big chunk of change. Mutual funds, it doesn't even apply. Like you can sell mutual funds to whoever, right? Doesn't matter. How about destruction from natural disasters, right? Is your rental properties going to be destroyed during a natural disaster? Yeah. How about with mutual funds and investments? No. Okay. How about potential fire destruction, right? It's not natural, but there's a chance that your house can catch on fire, or your building, or your whatever you own, right? Commercial or residential. This is not even relevant when it comes to mutual funds, okay? How about property taxes, right? Homeowners insurance. Yeah, with homeowners insurance, you got to pay for that with your rental properties. There's no such thing as homeowners insurance when it comes to mutual funds. I just said to you guys, property taxes. Yeah, you got to pay 1.25% in rental property, right? You don't have that. Doesn't even apply when it comes to mutual funds. What else? Let's move on, right? Property maintenance. Oh my God. Roofing, flooring, carpeting, electrical, I mean, concrete, you name it. You got all sorts of maintenance going on. Every time you want to make a change, the city has some new ordinance that just passed it. Now you got to make it all compliant with, you know, new utility lines or power, or they're now going with what is that, where they go LED, right? This is not even applicable to mutual funds. What else? Creating huge debt, right? So whenever you buy a rental property, guess what you just did? You just created a massive amount of debt for yourself that's now stuck on your credit report. And I hope that you can pay that debt, because if you can't and you don't have any tenants, man, good luck before you go into foreclosure. With creating huge debt, when you don't create debt when you go into mutual funds, right? This is not buying stuff on margin. So whatever money you have, you invest in a mutual fund, and you don't create debt. Also, liquidity. When you put your money in rental properties, is it liquid? Not a chance, right? You'd have to go through refinancing. You got to qualify. You got to show financial statements. You better have good credit. Yeah, and then if it's a time of crisis, like right now, pandemics and outbreaks, banks today, folks, are not even doing cash out on any properties. They will not do cash out. Now, is there somebody doing out there? Yeah, but go and find him. Good luck, okay? Mutual funds, of course, you can go and make a phone call, and within a day or two, they wire the money right to your personal account. What else? Diversification. Rental properties. There's no diversification in rental property. It's like one piece of property. It's like it's all in that one building, right? Whereas when it comes to mutual funds, you can diversify it, right? You can put some money in what we call real estate investments trusts, or called REITs. You can put it globally. You can put it in income funds, bond funds, money market accounts. You know, there's so many different funds that you can actually put it into. So yes, there's a lot of diversity, right? So these are the 16 reasons, right, that I can go through more and more and more, right? But finally, here's my last one, is actually there's two more. Large upfront investments, right? So with rental properties, you better have a big chunk of change when you're going to get into it. And then with mutual funds, maybe you get as low as $50 a month or $1,000. So it doesn't require large upfront investments. And then high transaction costs. Yeah, with rental properties, you got escrow, you got title, you got appraisal, you got to pay for points on your loan, or higher, if you don't pay for points, a little higher interest rates. Yeah, there's a lot of costs associated with buying real estate. And then when it comes to mutual funds, like, no, you don't have to pay all those kind of fees, right? So that kind of gives you an idea of why I'm not a real big fan of buying real estate. Now, if you want to have a small percentage of your portfolio of it, hey, it's your money. I don't really care what you do. I'm sure a lot of you that are here, you have your own opinion about what I just said, which is great. You can go to my YouTube channel, and when I post this, you can make your comments and recommendations or whatever. But listen, folks, I own a lot of real estate, right? Millions and millions and millions of dollars. I wish after I went and bought all this stuff that I wish someone would have told me, hey, it's not what it's all cracked out to be, okay? It's a lot more headache than you think. And when people who own real estate tell you about this, they only tell you the glamorous side of real estate. Oh, I bought a house, right, for $200,000 and I flipped it and I sold it for $400,000, right? And you're like, whoa, right? Little do you know that, yeah, they bought it for $200,000, put in like $180,000 into it, right? And upgrades, and so really in $380,000, and they netted out what? $20,000, or maybe even less by the time they paid for a broker and paid broker fees or whatever. So don't get caught up with everyone telling you how glamorous it is, because it's not as glamorous as you think. Now, are people going to say, well, I had a friend who put money in mutual funds and they lost all their money? Yeah, I don't think so. Okay. You know, when people say that, I don't know of a single mutual fund in my life or in the history of mutual funds where an actual mutual fund like poof disappeared and you lost all your money and it went to zero. What that basically means is that you had a very bad financial person managing your money that was just took your money, invested it, and then disappeared and was playing golf all day long, okay? I'm not a golfer, right? I sit there and I manage my portfolio, my clients' assets. I keep an eye on it, and I do my quarterly updates and semi-annual and annual updates just like a dentist or a doctor does with their patients. That's what I do with my clients. That's what a responsible financial person is. Like even during a time of crisis like right now, going back up to this mutual fund. Let me just go back up here. Let me, where are we here? Give me a sec. Look at this right here, right? So here, as we had this crisis, right? As we had this crisis, there's my annotator. Let me look at this. This is right here. This point right here was February 19th. Yeah, the market went down, 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 and this is like the bottom. Okay, let me tell you something. Someone should have called this person, right? And probably somewhere around here, like right here, should have called them and said, hey, maybe we should do this. This is what we think, and give them some updates, right? Put some more money in there. And when it did, what did you do? You were buying and buying and buying and buying and buying all this time. So basically you can capture all this, right? So I don't know. I just think that when you have a situation where people say that, I think they're lying. Like I think they didn't really lose all their money. They're just trying to be a negative person and tell you that that they lost all their money. But I've never seen that before in my entire career, right? So so anyway, going back to this, you guys, I just want you to know, those are the 16 reasons and all the reasons that I would not buy real estate. Even though some people are like, oh man, all these people are gonna lose homes and I'm gonna put all my money and buy real estate. Yeah, okay, good luck, right? And I wish you all the best. Because for me, everything I just shared with you, I can tell you that Arlene and I are, whatever real estate we own, we're in the process, and we've been in the process of disposing most of our investments in real estate. and we're pretty much putting it into mutual funds. But even within mutual funds and other variable annuities and ETFs, we're diversifying it inside. Are you with me on that? So I have mutual funds that have gold and precious metals. I got mutual funds that do invest in some REITs. I got mutual funds that are investing globally in other parts of the world. I got mutual funds that are investing here domestically in the United States. I have mutual funds that are specific to biotechnology. So all the things that you want to do, I can do so much more with mutual funds than investing it all over into real estate and putting all your eggs in one basket, okay? So, okay, are we doing questions right now? Okay, I'm not doing questions, Anna. Why are you distracting me like that? All right, so now how long have we gone? Okay, we got about, okay, so I'm overtime, you guys, 14 minutes. But in the meantime, what I want to do is I want to have this couple, okay, who I think the world of, right? That, gosh, I don't know how long we've known each other for a while, but they, you know, I want you to know, let me just show you guys something, okay? During a time of crisis, okay, here you go. Shabsi and Mimi, just so you guys know, last month, here we go. On our last cycle, as of 5/26, this is one cycle. And for those of you that don't know our business very well, we actually pay out 8 to 10 times a month. Okay, so every Tuesday and Friday is a payday for us. And our last cycle, 5/26, this couple made $94,000, right? So they on one check, they made more money than like what 3 times, 4 times what most people make in the country in a year, right? So Shabsi and Mimi, if you could just spend, I know you guys have been holding online here. And I know you guys were joined us today in our product training, and we had some technical difficulties. So I'm glad you joined us today. I think our sound and video is doing better now. But first of all, congratulations, you both of you. But what are you guys doing right now? What is your secret? And is what I'm telling you and what I've been preaching to you? And I know you've got I appreciate you saying you learned a lot from me, but I also know there's another wonderful couple named Elon and Dina Michael who have also been like my right-hand guy and gal, and think the world of those two. But what are you two doing? Because most people right now are burying themselves into, they're like in a fetal position, laying in their couch and wondering, when is this all going to go over, and when is the government going to send me my next stimulus check? Okay, and folks, please do not play the victim card right now. This is not a time where you go, I fall in and I can't get up, right? Well, no, you need to get up. Like, I mean, you need to snap out of this right now, because if you sit there lying on the ground and you just want to play the victim card, you're going to spiral out of control. Okay, and we want to stop that behavior, and in the way you're acting or reacting to what's going on, you're going to have some grit. Okay, the word grit, G-R-I-T. You're going to have to become more resilient during times of like this, and the way you act and the way you take advantage of the situation in our climate today. Your children are watching you. Okay, they're looking at mommy and daddy and saying, Mom, Dad, there's so much going on. Are we okay? You cannot panic in front of your children. Okay, and if you're struggling with this kind of stuff, hey, I'm here. I'm not. Look, folks, I'm not trying to beat you guys up. I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm not trying to make you feel bad. But I want you to snap out of it. Okay, and I want you to wake up. All right, because we want to help you. And you got to pick yourself up, right? I'm over here on the other side of this line, and I'm saying I'm over here. And if you want me to help you, you got to cross over this line. Because let me just tell you, there's couples like Mimi and Shabsi who are like, could sit there and do the same thing, but you know what? And go, oh my God, end of the world, blah, 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 blah. But you know what? Hey, guess what? Last month on one cycle, making $93,000, they're now they're a 6-figure income earner. Folks, this could happen to you as well. So, Mimi, share with us and Shopsy what you guys are doing right now, and what are you going to continue to do for the rest of the crisis or pandemic or our stay-in-home orders and what have you.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank you very much for having us come on this evening with you. It's really an honor, really appreciate it. One thing that was just crossing my mind of what was done right is I think in terms of investments that we've made, our best investment was that $100 that we paid at our AMA by far. The years that we put in really growing in this business, growing our mindset, investing in being educated in the products, but not only the products, but in the mission of what WFG stands for. And Shopsy and I are very, very grateful for the day that we actually signed our AMA. Even though, by the way, it was the last $100 in our bank account at the time, and my husband came home and I was furious that he had spent that $100. How could he? And now I thank him every single day for spending that $100 because it really changed our lives forever. It changed our mentality. It changed our living conditions. It changed life for our children. I mean, we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment. We had 6 children when we started this business, and I had just had my 6th child, who was 3 months old, and life was upside down. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It was totally and completely upside down. I remember walking into my apartment. I'll keep it very, very brief, but I remember walking into my apartment with my newborn baby, having just gone back to work, and go back to my apartment, and the electricity was off. And I remember after my child, a little bit older, she was at 5 at the time, I had pretended that we were like having a camping trip, but after she went to sleep, I burst into tears. And I said, God, you got to change something. Something's got to give. I'm giving all of my strength that I can to the work that I'm doing. My husband's putting all of his work in, has 2 jobs, and we're just not making it. And God did send WFG. And I can't say that it was a smooth ride. It's kind of like the mutual funds going up and down. But we're definitely on the upside. We're definitely on the other end, knowing that this was the absolute best investment that we ever made. And I think that one thing that we've learned to do during difficult times, like everybody, is just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Just keep doing what you need to do. Keep on doing the work that needs to be done. Don't let don't let speed bumps become stop signs. Don't let the little things that we can actually find resolutions for, or that we can find some way to resolve these issues. Don't let that stop you. Just keep on going and keep on pushing through. And that resilience is really important, and what you call grit is really, really important. And we've shown grit many, many times. I could name many times in our WFG experiences that we've had to have and really go down and really find another gear and really pull upon the idea of having grit. We were very blessed actually to be under Ilan and Dina's leadership for many, many years. We recently moved to New York, and we're out here. So if you have anybody in New York, or you want to be able to, I know we've now gone global. WFG is now global, and you can have anywhere there. But if you need any local support, please feel free to reach out in any way. But we really had to trailblaze here a little bit and do WFG in a different way. And we could have at any point said, it's too difficult, it's too hard, we're just going to have to drop the system, we'll have to come back this business another time, we'll have to wait till whatever. But we didn't. We wanted to keep on going. And I had known about the concept of premium financing, and I had a client that had expressed interest, but they weren't yet moving quickly. And so, I'll tell you, there's a very, very great phrase, and I don't know if some of you know about premium financing, but it can be technically challenging to learn. And I'm not a micro thinker. I'm a macro thinker. And so when it came to illustrations and how it works and all of the lending that's involved and the estate planning, that's too much for my mind to take. But what I thought was, here's a person who has a massive income. They've worked their whole life to be able to amass this wealth, and they're going to lose that wealth. And I'm here to protect them. And I'm here to show them a way that they can protect that wealth, and they can utilize the tools that I have in WFG to be able to save themselves from a large loss at the time of death. And so this is something that I knew on a macro level, and I knew what I didn't know. I knew what I knew. I knew what I didn't know, but I also knew that there were people who knew what I didn't know. And that's very important. You have to be able to utilize the people who know what you don't know. And that's the great thing about the system of WFG. You have great leaders, you have great mentors, you have a great system, you have a great home office, you have great partners that your company works with. And we actually partnered with an amazing company called Succession Capital. And the initial conversation actually with on the premium financing actually took place with John. And I remember learning about premium financing for the very first time when he came to visit Elon and Dina's office. And I just kept on thinking, this is life-changing. This is life-changing for the person who needs a policy like this, but this is life-changing. Like, right. I thought like literally light bulbs were going off. And I said, I just have to find my next premium financing person, because that will enable me to take my family to a different level. The first policy that we closed was what, $86,000 policy?
It was 90 actually.
Okay, we made $86,000 commission on that policy, and we were able to buy a home. We purchased our very first home. We have how many? We just measured actually today. We had the property measured.
Right.
It's over what?
It's over an acre.
It's over an acre of land. Okay, my entire family, including my mother-in-law, now has a home with us where everyone can be under one roof. Everyone's got their own room, their own space. We got a beautiful pool in the backyard. These are dreams that we had on our vision boards when we first started. And I kept on thinking, how is that ever gonna happen? How is that ever gonna happen? And it happened by utilizing the tools that WFG has to offer. And I will just say, it couldn't have happened without WFG. I couldn't have made those partnerships, those relationships, or ever thought that was possible without WFG. So I would say that's the best investment. Do you have any other questions, John, at all for us?
No, I don't. I just want to say again, congratulations to both of you. For those of you that are joining us for the first time, and Mimi had alluded to something called the AMA, or what is that $100 thing, or what does it mean? It's basically the background check to start your licensing process. And people, one of the questions people always ask is like, oh, what do you get out of that? And I'm like, what? Like out of $100? Even if I was to get $100, like seriously? I mean, unfortunately, I don't get anything. All right, but you got to do it. I mean, it's just the rule, right? It's like opening up a restaurant, folks, and saying, I want to go down and just open up a restaurant. You can't just like randomly go down to some street, open up a restaurant and just run the business, right? You got to go get permits. You got to get licenses. You have to pay the fees for anything. Okay. Welcome to the business world. You want to become a cosmetologist? You don't just like get some scissors and a comb and show up at some shop and say, hey, can I rent that booth and start cutting hair? No, you got to get a license. You got to have a permit. You got to have this. You got to have everything. It's the same thing with us, folks, okay? You want to go do real estate and you want to go represent people? The state of California and every other 49 states says you got to go get a Department of Real Estate license, right? A DRE license. We have the same thing. And so we're licensed, we're credentialed, we've got all the professional licenses in place. And the good news, just so you guys know, is that we will give you the questions and answers to the test questions so you can go get licensed. Now, folks, what better time than right now to go and get those licenses while you can during a time of crisis and a pandemic where you're quarantined and you're supposed to stay at home? I mean, for the ones that have to get out, okay, you can, and whatever your belief is or thoughts are about the virus, you can just, you know, do what you want to do, then go get your license. I mean, that's what Shopsy and Mimi did, and now their whole life is totally different today. So I am just so grateful. Every single one of you have joined us. Mimi and Shopsy, congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
And I know you guys are going to crush it. By the way, you guys, it all begins with getting your first deal, because once you get that first deal, you know what happens? What happens, Mimi, after you get your first deal?
It's that ripple effect. It's that happy client, that satisfied client, and they are ready to refer, especially within the wealthy clientele. They're bragging, oh, I got this at this percentage rate. Oh, I got this deal. And they're talking. In fact, my client wanted me to share with people that he had gone through this process in order for me to be able to track more business. It then went, the second policy is with their partner, and we are now working with 2 other partners in Alaska of this original policy that we wrote. So that ripple effect, not only in our business, I think how we grew our business in terms of, you know, really from the very beginning, from our very first, you know, field training, you know, everything grows from that first really good piece of business. And so you catch on to one, it's a ripple effect.
Awesome. That's great. Well, folks, let me just thank you guys so much for joining us here today. I just want to congratulate both of you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, you guys, I know you're going to do good things with your new, your $94,000 check. And for those of you that want to know more about these things, please go get the book. It's called The New Life Insurance Investment Advisor book by Ben Baldwin. Also, Tony Robbins has got a book called Master the Game. In his book, he alludes to some of the things that we do inside his book. And now Tony Robbins is aware of it, and now he's got it. And in fact, if you read the new book, it says here, revised with new material. So he's got new material in here. And this new material that he talks about is actually in what we actually do. And then, of course, Patrick Kelly doing the Retirement Miracle book on how to retire tax-free, all there. And then, of course, you got all these amazing books to change the way you think up here in between the 6 inches. And I just want you guys to know that I'd love for you to get with the person who invited you here tonight to join us. And I appreciate you. You know, there's 230 of you. There's like, I think 235. So we may have lost like 5 people. And I don't know, maybe they had to go to work or their internet dropped or what have you, who knows. But to have the majority of you guys all hanging, thank you very much. I hope you like both our speakers. They were very inspiring. But please get with the person who invited you here today, and learn how money works. Talk to me directly, like just call me. I'm more than welcome, more than happy and welcome you to reach out to me and see what we can do to help you out. Now, I do have one question I'm going to be able to answer, and it says here, would you cash out money in stocks to put in Transamerica's mutual funds? Is a question that somebody asked, and the answer is yes and no. I would want to consider, you know, by cashing out, what would be the potential tax ramifications that you're going to have by selling out those stocks. Maybe you have some carryover loss in prior years, something that we probably have to look at your tax returns and see if there's any carryover loss that we can apply, so there are not going to be any tax ramifications, and then it might be a good investment to diversify your portfolio, okay? But then it also depends on what kind of stocks do you have. I mean, if you bought some Amazon stocks at super cheap, or bought some Uber ones at super cheap, you know, you may want to keep them. So it's hard for me to answer that question, Yon. I'd have to look at it all in its entirety, okay? Folks, just want you guys to know that, just a reminder, tomorrow night, okay, from wherever you are, please register down below right here, because you're all going to call me and my staff like 5 minutes before and say, can't get in, can't get in. Please register now at bit.ly/TGR Legacy Movie. And I and the director of this film, Mr. Scott Servine, will be on this tomorrow night after the movie to answer any kind of questions. And by the way, it's 100% complimentary. Go pop some popcorn, enjoy the movie, think and grow rich, and God bless every single one of you. Be safe. We look forward to seeing you this Saturday at 11 o'clock Pacific Standard Time for Shintastic Saturday. Take care, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the webinar and this program. And thank you to all our guest speakers that tuned in tonight. Have a good night, everyone. See you later.